And I remember in June-ish when you were about to graduate, I remember things were going pretty bad for you, and I remember encouraging Carrie. And I remember saying to her just, hey, hold out, you'll do good. Just whatever you do,
I do remember him saying this.
whatever you do, just wait till I get back and we'll spend
Like,
some
don't
time together.
move.
We'll hang out. And
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know, what happened? Did
Well,
you leave, honey?
I left. But there's so much more to that story.
Listen.
So 2 weeks before I graduated, it just wasn't really working out where I was living with Morgan and Sean, and we were all just very young. That's all basically it was. And I ended up moving out, and some good friends of mine let me live with them for those 2 weeks before graduation. And so, but I knew that I couldn't live with them permanently, and my parents wanted me to come back to Wyoming. And so I had decided that I was going to go to college back in Wyoming, and my parents' relationship was kind of in a rocky place at the time too. And so I just was ready to go back. I had a little brother and a little sister. There was like a lot of things that kind of played into my decision to go back. It wasn't easy. And I remember even thinking while making that decision, like, Adam told me not to leave.
If it makes you feel any better, I was glad you were gone. I'm just kidding. I can't even lie about that. That's not even true.
No, it was. And so I moved back to Wyoming. I kind of had a rough summer. I was very unstable. Things in my family were kind of, like I said, kind of rough at the time. And I stayed in contact with them, but kind of vague communication.
It became...
it was...
To be 100% honest
I was
with
very
you,
flaky.
she was back to her old... Like, you were back in your old stomping grounds. It was easier
Yeah.
for you. And you did not need the support anymore.
Yeah.
And it became very clear to me that something was missing. Something was gone from how connected we had been to where it was at that point in time. So, yeah, so you were gone. You left in the summer, and
then
you just let life started happening again for you.
Yeah, I started just living there, and then I registered for college up in Casper. And then my mom ended up deciding she wanted to go back to college too, so I moved back with her. And that was just a very interesting time, and there's like so much I could get into, but I'm not right now. But basically I went my first semester of college, and once I got up to college, we talked a lot more because I kind of was then again from my away from my comfort zone.
Yeah, and she was looking for a support again.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and
however, it wasn't that quick for me at that point in time. So kind of was because we were distant. I remember when you're distant away from each other, sometimes it's easy to connect over the phone. That was a bigger thing back then, I guess, talking over the phone a lot. But now I hate it. Now it's all text and all that stuff, and I really don't like text. But
I feel like you're saying text, like Texas. Are you saying text? Are you saying text?
Did you just enunciate text? Text. Are you saying Texas in Texas?
I thought you were saying
or text. Anyways.
Text.
Anywho. I got back from deployment in November, right around Thanksgiving time frame. Right?
Yeah.
And then I went on leave, and I had some good friends that I hung out with. I think Morgan was gone at this point in time, so it was a whole bunch of new people I was hanging out with. Wasn't
Yeah,
new
because
people,
he got back that December. He was gone on maybe on deployment. Was he on deployment?
Well, he did one of those vacation deployments, but yes, deployment. We can call it deployment.
Morgan, I'm going to leave that part in there just
Vacation
for you to be
deployment,
able to criticize
Morgan,
him.
Vacation deployment.
No, but I think Morgan got back, and so we had discussed me moving back out there. I didn't like where I was living.
We had discussed it, yes. I think the discussion on one end was a little bit more of an idea than it was...
You don't need to analyze everything.
No, but I remember the day she said she was coming back. And there was I think we built up a little too much what it was going to look like when you came
Oh, I
back.
thought I was moving back to be in a relationship.
And
I liked him by this point. I had shown my parents his picture by this point.
I just want everybody to take note of what she just said. I liked him by this point. I showed my parents his picture.
I
Like,
didn't.
that's a thing. Like, here's a picture of this guy, everybody.
Yes,
Like,
I showed my mom.
do you still have that picture?
Probably
she
not.
probably
Well, I can't
deleted it.
access that email. Darn security features.
Was that the?
It's probably in the emails I deleted. Anyways,
She showed him a picture.
I did. I said, I like this guy. And so I think I'm moving back out to Washington in my mind. It's kind of unspoken, but I just thought we were going to be together.
And it was definitely, unequivocally unspoken. It was never
It wasn't
hey,
unspoken.
we are going to be in a relationship. And I didn't even really think of it really that way because we had been such good friends, and then we became friends even
What
more.
really happened was he just got off deployment and he wanted to keep his options open.
Well, maybe, okay.
You were
Listen,
young.
maybe we'll say that. However, the point is, men don't quickly like that.
No,
like
I
women
just
do.
say
Like,
you don't. You can't speak for
I
all
bet
men,
that there's
honey.
about at least
You don't.
there's at least ones and
You're
ones
a
of
very
people.
analytical
At least ones
person.
and ones people on here that are gonna agree with me. Ones, maybe
What
tens
are you-
and
What are you
tens.
talking about right now?
Oh, I didn't want to say thousands and thousands. I was actually making
Oh,
a
like you're
realistic
like a
number
ratio?
of ones
Like-
and ones of people. I'm trying to
Like
be
a
honest with our
ratio?
number.
Like a 1:1?
No, Carrie, you know how people are like, oh man, I have thousands and thousands of those. I'm saying at least ones and ones of people are going to agree with what I
I
said.
have no
there.
idea what you're saying right
That's
now.
okay. She's
I'm not. Is this a military term?
no, it's not a military term. It's just a joke that you're
I miss it. Woo! Okay.
much like I missed the cue that she wanted to be in a relationship.
Yep, he did.
So same apparently. And I remember Morgan and I picked you up at the airport.
You
right?
did. I was so excited and I was so nervous and I got myself so good looking. I remember I was wearing black pants and a white shirt. Do you remember that?
I do not remember that.
I was wearing black slack pants and a white shirt.
I don't remember. But she worked at a.
And I put lipstick on even. Which I don't even still wear lipstick.
I didn't.
And I was
catch
so
any of that.
nervous to pick you up.
I didn't catch any of that.
And then I remember picking you up at the airport and
You didn't pick me up at the airport.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
was with
correct.
Morgan.
That's right. You were there first because I went
Yeah.
on leave to go home to see my family.
Yeah.
That's right.
and missed out on a trip with my family to Disneyland to come back to greet you at the airport.
Okay.
Bummer.
Oh, clearly.
Anyways.
Clearly
Yeah,
it was a
because
bummer.
if I should have waited just 30 days later, I would. Yeah, anyways.
And look how different your life could have been had you gone to Disneyland.
I still was going to come to Washington. I just should have gone to Disneyland first.
You would have waited a few more days. Who knows, honey?
If I would
What would've
have waited a few more days, I would have missed you and Morgan flirting with girls on the way home.
Well,
And
maybe.
then having my little heart broken.
Maybe. Anyways. So they did. That's right. You did come pick me up at the airport
Yeah.
with Morgan. And
And you put your elbow on my knee.
so she was so excited.
I was sitting in the back, in the middle, and you put your...
I sat in the back?
No,
I was going to say, I don't sit in the back of cars. Ever.
I sat in the back, and you put your elbow on my knee.
Is it just because it was such a small car that my knee had, my
Yes,
elbow had?
listen, why are you destroying this part of the story?
But I wish that was like the part where you're like, oh, hey, and happily ever after, but it certainly wasn't that way.
And we can kind of spare people the details.
And we will spare the details. It's just, we had an interesting connection at the beginning,
Yeah.
and
We just kind of had a six months of being a little bit a mess. Not really knowing what we wanted, and still kind of trying to figure out what a relationship even was.
yeah, because like I said, I had never really been in a relationship, and Carrie,
I hadn't really been in a relationship
she
ever.
hadn't been really in healthy relationships, I guess.
No.
So neither one of us really knew what relationships were. I was still young. I was more into sports. I was into my truck. I was into just being young.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to figure ourselves out a little bit first. And
It actually got to the point where I stopped speaking to him because I was mad at him. Because you finally were ready to be in a relationship.
well, she was, listen, she was a brat. and she will say that she was a brat. Go ahead and tell them.
I was definitely a
She
brat.
was definitely a brat. So,
So you were ready to finally be in a relationship, and then I kind of was just being stubborn, really. I was being a brat, and I was just kind of wanting to be in control.
Stubborn's a shit.
And just kind of, and I didn't really know what I wanted still, and so just kind of a lot of fear set in of rejection because I'd been so rejected so many times, and that I didn't want that from you too, and so So I didn't talk to him because I just was like trying to figure it out. It had probably been at least a week, which is like, that was good for me to not talk to somebody. It might have been even 2 weeks. I'm not sure.
I don't think it was.
Somewhere between a week and 2 weeks.
Sure.
Anyways.
We'll check the phone records.
But then my sister-in-law actually went into emergency labor with my nephew. And I was obviously completely uneducated this time about like the survival rates of babies. Because 5 weeks early really, I mean, it's early, but this very high survival rate. But I'm freaking out thinking that my nephew's going to die. And I wanted to find somebody to drive with me to Montana because I don't drive anywhere.
No.
I don't drive anywhere.
Not only does she not drive anywhere, if you see her driving, pull over
No,
and let her
stop.
pass by.
I'm not that bad.
She's not that bad.
I've not
but
even gotten in an accident but one time. And that was when I was 18. 18.
Well, let's go into this story actually because it talks about your driving in this story. Go ahead. Oh, yeah.
You're talking about
oh.
my trip to Montana?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, first
They
off,
want to hear about it.
well, I feel like I'm probably not going to tell it accurately, so when we get to that point, I'm going to let you tell it. But we are... So my sister-in-law goes into emergency labor, and she's getting transported up to Billings, Montana. And this is back when you had to scroll through your contacts. You couldn't, like, search your contacts. And Adam by alphabetical...
That's how you did it?
You had to, like, scroll.
Okay.
And Adam by alphabetical order is the first number in my phone.
In almost everybody's phone.
In almost everybody's phone.
Unless-
Adam constantly got butt dialed
the time. I still get butt dialed all the time.
All the time because of the alphabetical order of his name. Yeah. So I'm literally having to scroll every time past his name as I'm trying to find somebody to drive with me to Montana. But I'm mad at him, remember, this time, and I'm not really talking to him. And so
She's not really mad at me. She's mad at herself. Because I had done nothing wrong, for the record. I still am the innocent one in this situation.
But we're sparing them the details.
We're sparing them the details to protect...
Anyways. So I was scrolling past him in my phone, like, and nobody is wanting to go with me or not wanting to take the time or whatever.
I mean, how many crazy people would get up into a car and drive, 18 hours? It's 12, 14, 13 hours. Who does that?
You.
Oh, I know. I do.
So I finally call Adam and tell him the situation, and fully expecting a no because everybody else had given me a no. And he says, I'll pack my bags and I'll be there in an hour.
Wasn't that like...
That's all I remember.
Good gracious.
That's all I remember. You're my knight in shining armor.
I am a knight in shining armor, but like...
Tall, dark, and handsome.
Well, again, correct. She's sucking up right now. Anyways.
I was attracted to you.
Well, I would be too.
I didn't think you were a dork. I didn't think you were a dork.
So what happened was she called me, and there may have been tears. And she said, I tried calling every other person.
Little did you know that
Every other person was like 3 people.
No, I was talking about my tears.
What about your tears?
They got you for years.
Oh, gracious. This is what I got to deal with, everybody. Anyway, so she called me, and I was getting ready to play softball, and softball's like, I love softball. I love softball. I love football.
I didn't realize how much of a sacrifice it was then, but...
Looking back, if I just would have played softball. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I did. I knew she was in a tough place, and I knew that if I didn't go with her, she was going to pack up her Ford Tempo and try and make that thing go over there, and I couldn't have that on my conscience. So,
oh my gosh, is this really what you thought? This is really what you
So I
thought.
said,
There's details of the
I
story
said-
that are new to me even.
I said, let me pack a bag. And
I'll
I
be
knew
there
it was
in an hour.
It was a 3-day weekend, and I said, I'll be there, I don't know, was it an hour? Sure, an hour. So I went and picked her up.
Yeah, so he picked me up, and I think this is, for me, the coolest part of the story because it's pretty much automatically when we got into the car, we just kind of started, we couldn't help but like come out with everything. And like within 2 hours of the trip, that's really was our starting point of this relationship.
Yeah, probably with him.
Like, we
I
really
would say,
got-
yeah, somewhere between Ellensburg and Spokompton, Washington.
Yeah.
We hashed out a lot of the things that we really needed to talk about that we had been avoiding. A lot of the awkwardness, a lot of the, hey, this is why I'm acting this way, or this is, and it really came down to neither one of us really knew what a relationship was.
Yeah.
And we kind of figured it out, and that's really
Yeah.
what got us together for the rest of our lives. And we've been married now for, 13 years. And
Is
it's
it
been
13
wonderful.
years?
13 years in July. Yeah.
Okay, together 15 years because
Yes.
my nephew's going to be 15.
Yes. Yes.
So we didn't even get to see my nephew born.
No.
We,
no.
that was the crazy
No.
part of all this. He was born
No.
the day after
So
we left.
the part I didn't tell you about the drive out there was it's a 13-hour drive, and I had worked all day from about 5:30 in the morning to about 5:30 in the afternoon or so, and then had a softball tournament, so I was getting ready for that. And she called me, and then we got into a car, which I don't advise this for anybody at all, ever. And we started driving at 6 o'clock at night, and I drove all the way through the night. And I remember
I drove a little bit. No.
we stopped at a Hardee's, and we had breakfast. And I said, "Hey, we're only 2.5 hours away, or whatever it was. Bozeman, I think. So, yeah, it's about 2.5 hours to Billings from there. 2.5."
Yeah.
And I said, "Can you drive the rest of the way? I'm exhausted." Meanwhile, I've been driving.
I said, sure.
I've been
I'm totally
driving.
here for you. You just drove like 11 hours.
Yeah, she said, sure. So I get in, and I'm kidding you not. It could not have been more than 15 minutes.
I was 20. It was 20
15 minutes.
It was
I'll
20.
I'll give her 20 minutes. She goes, "Excuse me, can you drive? I think I'm falling asleep."
I was emotionally exhausted. It was a very traumatic, emotional time, like not knowing if my nephew was going to survive and be okay.
And at that point in time, I was really emotionally exhausted trying to figure out if I was going to survive the last 2 hours of the trip. So, yeah. So, all of that, I just want you to know that if ever you're going on a long road trip with Carrie, think about having at least 4 other drivers not named Carrie in the car. Because she is not going to be much help. But
But
no,
you like
we had a
driving,
great time.
so
I
it's
do
good.
like
I married
driving.
the right man.
You did. I do like driving, and I do not like riding in cars with other people. But no, it was great because we just got to talk. So we had 13-hour drive there and a 13-hour drive back. I think we solved all the world's problems.
So yeah, that's how we met. That's how our relationship started, and then God began to do the work from there. So we're excited to share some of those stories with you. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video, and look for the upcoming videos that we're going to be recording together, just talking about how from then on, God began to just transform us into His likeness. And it was a rough road because...
Yeah, there's a lot of nitty gritty in there. I mean, you'd like to think that after that smooth story, everything was smooth sailing, but no, there's a lot of life that happened in between there. And we'd like to share a lot of that with you as you get to know us some more. And we just hope you like our page and we're able to share that with you.
Yeah, I'm so excited to do this side by side. It has been such a wonderful marriage with this man. I feel so extremely blessed every single day that I get to live this life by his side and support him. And we're excited to see where this journey takes us and who we're able to inspire through the journey that God has had us on. So thank you again for watching, and subscribe below and like our video.
Where is it? Right there? Right
I think
there?
it's right here or
It's
something.
right there or something.
And you give the thumbs up.
Okay, and then thumbs up.
All right, so
3, 2, 1. So that's the first part of our story. be looking for the next part to come soon. Second part 2 should be coming soon.
Why are you saying that on film?
Because I think everybody should know. All right, go ahead and say it. So that's the first part of our story.
No, I'm not ready yet.
I'm not ready.
Okay. Count us down. I'll be looking at the camera.
3. What do you look at? Do you look at the camera?
The camera is right there below the. That's like that's the lineup.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Carrie.
I'm Adam.
I'll go in my mouth.
And she has gum in her mouth. Cut.
Okay. I'm having a little indigestion.
If you say your full name, it's weird.
Like such a chest. How you doing?
So, but no.
Hang on, cut. I'm gonna cut it. You are not. You're being too serious. You are such a funny and playful person, and you're like being so serious.
Maybe the video isn't going to show that.
You're being not very playful.
I'm being very playful.
Be playful.
I'm being very playful. What are
Never
you
gonna like being like dry sarcastic.
Carrie, stop. Please. Because now you can't change it in the middle anyways.
Okay, yes you can. Just listen.
No. Stop.
Oh, it's not
Just
here.
let
Okay.
me do it. I've been on a camera on the national news. Have you? No.
Okay.
I hope that makes the cut. Where were we?
I don't know where we were. I was instructing him that he needed to loosen up.
And I was telling her that she can't tell me what to do. I'm a full-grown adult.
It's true.